Oh, I'm already live. That's too funny. Whoopsies. I was realizing that tea time is not a American thing, yet here we are on Saturday. Oh, I'm already live. That's too funny. Whoops. Here we are on Saturday. Sorry, I have the audio still on there, and I was thinking, you know what? It's evening in Europe, and I don't think that people have tea in the evening. So whoopsies. Anyways, hello, everybody. So excited to see you. I want to make sure to send out the link so that way then people can be alerted of this video. So, oh yeah, I need to look at this camera. So in today's video, we have a couple of questions that's been lined up by our ambassador team. I'm going to give some more information, some updates, you could say, about how to proceed with the crowd loan, what we're expecting, and of course, we'll be opening up the floor. Ah, my friend from Romania. Nice to see you. I have only been to Romania once. Loved it. I've spent a lot of time in Moldova, and I hear great things about Romania over there. Hey, Brian! It's fantastic seeing you this weekend, man. Okay, good timing. You're on the road. Well, drive safe, man. I guess it's like a podcast, basically. Though I'm doing good today. It's been one heck of a week, so I'm kind of getting things ready for this next transition for Parachain and the marketplace build out, and getting ready to get back to the other office. Greatly looking forward to being able to set up a bookshelf over there. I know I always have a different stack of books behind me, but there's literally hundreds of them that I'm looking forward to being able to organize. And so here, let me just give one more moment, reach out, make sure everything's good to go. All right, and then, yeah, all right, sweet. So I'm going to get started with these initial questions. And, well, actually, you know what? I think I'll give some time for people to hop in, and then I'll go through the questions later on, because I know these are what people are probably looking for. So instead, I'll start off talking about Pichu and talking about what it is that we have planned to do over this next step, these next stages. It's something where the Parachain launch is ready to go. Now, there is, these things do happen day by day, and it was, I think, maybe 6 hours ago or so. Yes, the literal day before, that we made consensus that we will actually be increasing the total KSM volume. Where previously it was 30K, it will now be 45K. This doesn't change the reward amount. It is still 350 Pichu. We ran the math and collectively decided that 45 would be the optimal range to give us the most upside Pichu available for future Parachain auctions, because it looks like we'll want to have at least two, though to be comfortable, it'd be better to have a third, at least a third arrow in our quiver, so we can continue to run network level testing within a live environment. So it's something where, yeah, that is one update that we'll be making. It will be already set up. It's an automated thing on the back end, so that's going to be going on very soon. Another update that we'll be sharing is that we do have a design that is out for the website. So it's currently been released to the ambassador team, and they're going to be taking a look at it, sharing some thoughts, some ideas, and you can expect by Monday to be able to get to see the design of what the new site is going to be looking like. Now, the developer is going to take, I would conservatively say, about a week. So that's going to be not this next week, but the early part of the week after that. That's the conservative time period I'd estimate. Now, it can happen as early as next week. If things work out, if the winds blow in our favor, then it'll be within a week, though, is about what we can say. Now, outside of the website and associated to that is on hiring. So we do have some feelers going out there for applicants to be able to apply for the positions we have open. As of right now, there's 3 primary positions. Number one of which is a senior substrate developer, somebody who has experience building on substrate and is looking forward to being able to create the fastest, most secure data warehouse possible. to interact with the entire interoperable blockchain. On top of that, we're looking to hire 2 junior substrate developers. These would be folks that already have blockchain experience. They are either have some experience in Substrate or are looking to expand their experience professionally on Substrate. And there's 2 positions available for that. On top of that, we do have the Substrate developers group available in our Telegram channel that is completely free. And here you get access to some, it's funny because we're a small pond here in Polkadot, but we've got some giants in our midst, and Sam Elamine, he's one of those giants when it comes to Substrate. The first, the person that led the team, that was the first people to achieve XCMP pallet calling between parachains. And before that, the technology was there, but no one had really had a chance to make it work, especially to run code across different parachains. Either way, so the people who are literally innovating the entire Substrate ecosystem are here in a group where you can ask questions directly along your journey of learning Substrate and getting further along your career path as a blockchain developer. Let's see. Yeah, so then when it comes to Pichu, one of the things that I did want to be able to go into a little bit more detail about is exactly what types of projects we see being deployed initially. So the phase that we're at right now is we're having conversations with as many partners as we can to figure out what sequence makes the most sense. Just because, of course, we can't build all of them at once, unfortunately. If we knew how, we certainly would. So we need to be able to start with what the most efficient seems to be based upon the resources of talent, namely, and then, of course, capital and time to get everything built. The most important thing to get done is the data marketplace. Because while right now, someone can absolutely upload a data set onto the Kylin network, and they're able to use our version 0 data warehouse to be able to access their information, and there's a cryptographic indexing system that can ensure that the data has not been tampered with. It's something where we still don't have a front end for it. Sorry, my voice is starting to go out. We still need to build the front end for it. And so that's one of the top priorities, because the same way that we wouldn't expect mass consumer adoption if people have to bust open a command line in order to be able to drop the data in. Not saying that that's necessarily the case, just we need to make the user experience something that is effortless, fun even, is what we're thinking, is to make it to where it's almost like a gamified experience of, I like to think about data as a treasure hunt, and it's super geeky, but I guess as a kid, I always enjoyed RPG and adventure type games. And when I look at a data set, and maybe it's got 100 different columns and 1,000,000 rows, and it's just this sea, this expanse of what could be value, but it's kind of useless in its current state. But you know that there's treasure inside of there somewhere. And if you follow the clues, and by being able to map out the environment, to look for trends and to see where things are moving, it's possible to be able to, to think of it like a futuristic scanner that can look at the surface and see exactly where the treasure is buried. In this case here, the ability to look at data sets and to convert what to anybody else may just be as useless as mud in comparison to oil refined being used to power a city. Yes, it potentially has value, but there are some bits and bobs in between, as our friends across the pond would say, to be able to make this happen. And this marketplace, in order to make it to where we can really hit that rapid mass adoption scale, because as we see it, we're on the same type of parabolic path as much of what else is occurring in the blockchain and AI space. The difference is that we are still like early compared to early. Like if blockchain is early right now, if we're in the middle of .com boom becoming validated type period of time, pre-cell phones still at this stage, likely at the brick phone at this point. It's just software as opposed to these giant pieces of hardware. For us, it's needing to go through this web of getting money onto an exchange and then sending it to some type of decentralized wallet, and then understanding these new abstract concepts such as DeFi, NFTs, metaverse gaming. It takes people some time for new ideas to really settle. And what we're doing is building the infrastructure that is powering all of that. So as these various ecosystems within blockchain are growing, it's something where we're behind the scenes helping to accelerate that process. It's why we talk about the growth of innovation so much, because it's one of those data points that is important to us because it shows what progress we're actually making. Because if a project doesn't have to spend their time diving through a bunch of graph databases when no one there has a specialization in graph databases, let alone to take the time to figure out what tweaks need to be made in order to get an optimized machine learning system to work on the streaming data flowing in, all in a manner that is verifiably secure and stable enough to scale to potentially millions of users a day. That's a whole specialization required. And if this is a lending platform or an NFT community or a metaverse gaming platform or whatever type of blockchain solution that it might be, they should probably be focusing on that, on their zone of genius, on the thing that is probably what attracted their teams. And this demand and being able to convert what does Kylin do into, well, what can we do as a community? Because that's really the better questions to ask is, if we have this sea of data available, what can be done with it? So when we talk to our partners, what we're typically discussing is understanding their community, understanding their audience, understanding their product and service to see what is there that could be built that can help make their service more valuable. What would attract more people? What would give a better user experience inside of their application? What would make them more effective? These types of questions is where the value can be generated. And I've gotten off trail a bit, though not really, because this is the messaging change that we're doubling down on. And as of right now, we're building a marketing machine and we're about a week and a half into construction. This entire month will be mostly laying the foundation, getting people onboarded, putting together the initial systems, and testing out the initial automations. By January, we expect that we'll have everything up and running fully. That means website, full cross-channel social media, and we'll be refining and iterating upon what we do. I would expect if it's around this point, we would have public metrics to where people can really dive deep into like token holder metrics and whatever interesting trends we find from that. Right now, we've actually got a part-time internal bounty for researching different ways to be able to track on-chain metrics. So that way then we can become more and more educated as a community, which should overall help to increase the adoption curve of the Polkadot ecosystem as a whole. I bring all this up I bring all this up because it's something where what we are looking to be able to do with the initial Pichu marketplace is make it as simple as possible for people to not only upload their data sets, but to be able to create their own DDMO software solutions that they can use to interact with the data sets that will be entering our data warehouse. The more developers that we have within the community, the more people that understand the need for machine learning systems and for automations and for reporting and analytics and dashboards, and for anybody who understands the hundreds of billions of dollars of value that is in data and is looking to find out how to be able to make their entry or to moonlight for additional value in the form of utility tokens in blockchain. It's something where it's a huge opportunity for people, and we are actively looking for creative ways to get this out there in a beautiful user experience that makes it simple and easy, and fun is part of it. And this is good. I wanted to actually go down a rabbit trail like that. There's a couple other items I definitely want to share with the community that can help connect the dots on how what we see is what will likely take us from this journey of micro cap project to mid cap up to large cap, and then blue chip ultimately. We understand it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we do look at things as objectively as possible. And so part of what we're going to be looking at is I'm going to dive through these questions now, because I know there's a couple of questions about the launch, questions about rewards, about the crowd loan, and some questions about Pichu. So one moment while I pull this up, and I'm going to pour myself some water too. While here, I see we got some more folks in. Would love to hear where you guys are from, and tell me how your weekend is going. If you guys have done anything interesting or doing anything interesting. We're all people here. It's great to see what everyone's up to connect. So excuse me. Looks like our ambassador team has got 5 questions lined up for me here. So first question, is 100 partners end of year still on the table? This is a good question because it's something where it very well could be, it's actually not our highest priority any longer. To be frank, yes, at one point it was. And on an initial trajectory, we had hoped that we'd be able to get certain parts of this system built more quickly. But things did get delayed and we are a bit behind. So it's something where at this stage, the main priority is getting the Kusama network Canary token Pichu launched, getting it to where we can actually have a marketplace to show the value transfer of various different oracles being applied on different applications, and being able to take the steps of what's a pretty long list of technical requirements that we must develop towards and maintain in order to be able to launch the Kylin mainnet on Polkadot. So it's something where to get the partners in, it's likely something where the rest of this month will be spent on building up the marketing and branding machine, the education and content machine, so we can have community events and hackathons, the Pichu launch on Kusama, so that way then we can get the MVP turned into a publicly facing workable product. And I'm guessing it'll be around January that we crank the dial on partner acquisitions. At this stage, we are having conversations with partners, but it's directly actionable. We have very limited resources in terms of time, namely of talent of our team, as well as of course resources. We are a startup, and while yes, in blockchain it looks like everything is big, the market cap is not correlated to the treasury funds that were started with this business. But we have to have something built, and we have about a 2-year runway, yet it's something where that's where the value comes from and what we're building. So it is something where I would imagine that we will start off with about 3 partners that will have the most use case, most efficient, most easily understood, and ideally biggest impact possible. And we'll start building with those 3. That'll also help create more clarity on what we actually do, because from our conversations thus far with our current 50 partners, we understand that most people, they don't actually have a schematic broken down of exactly what they want from their data. And as data engineers and data analysts ourselves, it's something that's a little bit hard to imagine that someone doesn't just naturally think up a schema structure before they are putting together an ETL pipeline. See, most people wouldn't know what the hell an ETL pipeline is, let alone be thinking about this as a normal part of their business. So it was something that on our side, we recognized that we could likely serve our partners better if we had better educational materials, not just about what we do, but particularly what can be done for them. If someone has a decentralized exchange, for example, how to be able to create some type of visualization for swaps. Like I know on Shopify, they have a globe that can show the transactions that are happening on your store. Well, imagine being able to have something similar for a liquidity pool or for a algorithmic bot system. I don't know, something that can improve the user experience of an application, which produces a direct effect on the network value of that app. I've digressed a little bit, but not really, because these are the questions that I think do deserve a comprehensive answer somewhere on the interwebs for someone to see at least a thought process we have, because we're constantly iterating and are absolutely open to feedback on how to improve. But as of now, we see selecting the best top 3 that we can think of. that makes sense, that fits within resources and has the biggest impact. Then transitioning to mass acquisition of whatever use case seems to be making the most sense. And of course, by this point, we very well should, since it's a top priority now, have it to where the community is armed and ready with all the educational material needed, to be able to deploy oracles and machine learning systems. So we're still in the early phases of that, but that's really when we can. I share that because if we can judge the amount of application deployment happening on the network, that'll directly relate to how many partners we can take on. Because at this stage, it's something where if we wanted to arbitrarily add a bunch of partners, we could probably get to 150 by the end of the year. But the question is, who can we really serve and in what reasonable time period? Okay, so go to the next question here. Once Pichu wins auction, how long will it take to go live? And also, are any of the 70 partners with Kylin going to use Pichu? So whenever Pichu wins the auction, it's something where the not transfer, but the activation happens basically instantly. It's why we had to do so much provisioning on the front end in order to be ready for the auctions. At the same time, once it does go live, there is still some testing and benchmarking that we will be doing as a team to make sure that everything is as expected, because this is still cutting edge code that we're working with, and we want to make sure that everything is safe and secure when it gets ready. I would anticipate this process would take no more than a week, though my guess would be 24 to 48 hours upon winning the auction. So I share that just because I'd imagine that I would consider it damn near instant within a day or two of launching. Now, when it comes to are any of the 70 partners going to be using Pichu, yes, and absolutely. Our decision right now is to think of which partners do we build first. We see that if we stretch the resources, we can likely get 3 going. And so it's really a matter of which 3 make the most sense for the first round. Because then the idea is that from everything we build on this first round of partners, we can take close documentation of the process. And that way, then there's something of a roadmap available for the what is already more than 100 developers in the Substrate group. And I'm looking forward to, I might literally pop a bottle of champagne when we have 1,000 people in the group that are actively looking to transition into whether moonlighting or a full-time career in blockchain. This is the place to start. So out of them, yes, we do have partners going in, though we don't have any details on who those partners will be because we are actively deciding. Yeah. The Pichu airdrop for Kylin holders. Does a 10-month start counting from the moment we secure our Parachain or from the moment the first drop is made? Yeah, so reasonable question because it got pushed back. I could see the ambiguity. Thank you for asking. It's something where it'll start from the time that the airdrop begins. So we did consider perhaps just doing a larger airdrop, but that's going to directly incentivize people to dump the heck out of the market, and nobody enjoys that. So what we're going to do instead is we'll have the initial airdrop at a scheduled point once we have we know what the fastest solution is for building the dApp. And then what we'll have is from the moment that first airdrop happens, it'll be each 30 days that we're looking at that the airdrop and lock drops. Excuse me. Okay. Which platforms gave 100% confirmation they will support the Pichu crowd loan? So it's something where we don't have 100% confirmation from the exchanges yet, unfortunately. Now, I would say from the conversations that are currently being had in Telegram, I would expect we'll have finality on a few of them by Monday or Tuesday. I don't want that to alarm anyone, though. From everything that we see, everything that we've heard, if they have the Kusama parachains on their network, on their exchange, we're inside of it because we're built directly on Kusama. We've simply activated the switch that puts us in the ready for being a part of the auction. But it's something that's outside of the exchanges. The exchanges don't flick a switch to say Pichu on, Pichu off. It's a Kusama level thing. So it's something where I feel comfortable telling the community that yes, it is something where exchanges that support Kusama parachain crowd loans, they will support Pichu. At the same time, though, I'll keep people updated. I would expect Monday, Tuesday is when something will happen because that's whenever we'll have we'll for sure have updates from inside of the Telegram groups. Now, when it comes to wallets, I knew there was something else to the question. When it comes to wallets, I can confirm that Polkadot.js, Polka Wallet, and Math Wallet, those three are for sure going to be available. It's something where I can tell you at this stage, it's easier to say which wallets support Kusama Parachain auctions, because if they have any kind of integration with that, then they'll have it for Pichu. Now, it's something where a comprehensive list would be super useful to have, and that is a good mental note. I'll have the design team put something together, research something together, because it would be useful for folks. We see that. Now, this would be probably a good time. Excuse me. This probably would be a good time also to go into a little bit more information as well about the wallets and the exchanges. It's something where we can't confirm everything on all of them, but I'd just suggest that more often than not, it'll be there. It's more a question of what isn't. What isn't there is going to be, if it's not an official like exchange, I would not look to go find some shadow market exchange to try to do a crowd loan through. If you guys are looking at something, keep it safe, something that you know, and on our side, I would try to keep it as close within. I'd keep your keys. I'd keep it inside of your Polkadot.js, keep it inside of something else you have. That's our best suggestion as of now. But at the same time, it is something where Monday, Tuesday for more detail. I had something else I wanted to share about the wallets, but I forgot what it is, unfortunately. And as awkward as that is, I'm hoping it'll come back. Until then, let's dive into the chats. See how everybody's doing. Oh, fantastic. I love seeing the engagement in here. Excuse me. I remember what I was going to say. And here's a question about it. So boom, bam, done. Daniel Rodriguez, thank you for your question. Do you think Kylin will win a Parachain in DOT? Absolutely, Daniel. It's something where we have hundreds of thousands of DOT lined up, between 200 to 300, based upon the commits we have from our investors. On top of that, we're starting the marketing campaigns for crowd loans on DOT basically now. So the reason why we're putting so much attention into this 90-day marketing scale up is because we recognize that we very well want to maximize the opportunities available within the DOT ecosystem. So December is mostly about setting up and testing. January we'll be scaling it up, and then February we'll be kind of stabilizing that, because we're thinking somewhere in that Q1 range is when we'll be looking at Polkadot auctions, more likely than not. And as far as conviction and confidence levels on winning, I don't see how we wouldn't, to be frank. At the pace that we're moving, our market cap is woefully small right now, and I feel everybody whenever it is a shocker for me as well. At the same time, though, it's something where I can see that we have room for improvement in the way that we market ourselves, the way we brand ourselves, and the way that we communicate with the community. You know, I know that this hasn't been the smoothest rise as a community, and I guess I'll deviate for a moment here. Thank you for the question, Daniel. But it's something where a lot of people have been through a lot, and I've personally only been in this community since the token generation event on, I think it was Balancer, if I remember right. I think that was March or April. And around that point, I saw that, okay, the Oracle project, as I thought of it, on Polkadot, that sounds like it's going to be useful for getting data across everything. If that's true, that should be an awesome thing to invest in, perhaps. But along that journey, I decided to analyze all of the data projects to decide if Kylin made the most sense. And I did this too because I knew whatever project I decided to spend my time in, I would also want to do everything in my power to help scale up. And well, I spent half a decade in digital marketing, so I've picked up a thing or two from the industry. And a part of that is, well, we all of us data projects, we could improve in the way we communicate the value of data. And it's why we're working together. It's why we're collaborating. It's why we had so many of what other people call competitors for some reason, but they're genuinely our friends in this industry. Chainlink and The Graph and Ocean Protocol and everybody else. It's something that the problems we're here to solve, they require all of us. And we all have a different component to play within this giant supercomputer that's being built that is the blockchain ecosystem at large. And yeah, I share that because something where by being able to shift the messaging and the branding and to get it to where people can see that yes, oracles are useful because Chainlink went to the moon because they have oracles. Therefore, something else with oracles can go to the moon as well. But it's actually different than that in a better way. Chainlink was able to rise to the heights that it did because of a massive amount of data that they were able to manage to power the smart contracts behind most of DeFi. That is data retrieval, getting it from point A to point B. But it stops with that one transaction. With what we're building in the data warehouse, and especially with the machine learning systems that are outside of and integrated with the warehouse, that is the data comes in and then gets recycled and reused. I mean, essentially ad infinitum to whatever scale the application might require or desire. So in this way, it's something where if we take the oil example, then what we're building upon, this is the graph as another example. You can have this data inside of a graph database on chain that helps to make it easier to interoperate with other types of applications. But navigating that data can be a little bit complicated. And being able to turn that into useful insights definitely takes some people who know what they're really doing. The cost to be able to put that together would be astronomical to hire the folks yourself. The time it would take to do it maybe wouldn't make sense given the other priorities they might have to deal with. And then where we come in is by being able to interoperate between the networks by having a native warehouse that is built into Polkadot, so that way it can be as fast as possible and at a fraction of the cost of the majority of these services because it's got Polkadot pricing. And then because we're able to interoperate, we can leverage the best of the best across the industry to work together with Filecoin and IPFS, to be able to work together with the oracles on Chainlink and the graph databases in the graph. It's something where we have an opportunity together. And when it comes down to what project could do anything close to that, or is even somewhat near in the Substrate ecosystem to fill the giant chasm of need that we currently have in the data blockchain space, there isn't anybody else yet. And it's something where there's no guarantees in anything, but we have a high conviction. Going back to the Parachain, we have a high conviction of winning the Parachain 4 dot. Let's see. Hello, Adam, Win, and Adam, thank you. Yeah, no more potato. Brian, yeah, nuke. Just have fun with that like button. You know what? It's the dislike button thing is so weird. I actually do believe they I don't know why they got rid of the dislike button. It's incredibly useful feedback. So if you guys don't like something, just let us know. We have thick skin. We're here learning too. Let's see. From the Philippines. Hello, Stu, piling wood. Well, man, I'm hoping you're able to chop some logs tonight, brother. Let's see. Been here since day one. Fantastic. Maybe a silly question. No silly questions. Let's see what we got. Will Pichu be ERC20 compatible or Kusama chain only? It is a good question. Kylin is the ERC20 token, so it would make sense that it's possible. It's actually going to be native to the Kusama chain. It's part of why we have the whole kerfuffle with the airdrop of Pichu to Kylin holders, because one is on ERC20 Ethereum network, the other is on the Kusama network. In this case here, once Pichu is dropped, everything is staying in Kusama. The only reason why we even started at ERC20 in the first place is because Polkadot and Kusama weren't ready at the time. So it was kind of a head scratch that I was like, well, we have capital raised right now. Should we just wait for 3 months, 6 months? Turned out to be about 8 or 9 months until it was ready. And that'd be very difficult to keep everything at bay, or to be able to get started, start as an ERC20 project, and then figure it out down the line. And of course, we realized that there was, it could have been a bit more organized, but here we are now. These blockchain projects, it's not just us. We're all learning. We're literally on the cutting edge, creating new things. And so I share that because it's not a silly question by any means. It's the fact that you understand the difference between ERC20 and Kusama, knowing Kusama different from Polkadot, and the industry has a lot of things that are quite confusing. And I would encourage anybody, if you have a question, this is, we pride ourselves on creating a wholesome environment. And for sure, people might disagree with each other. And if someone says something that isn't backed by facts or reason, we're a data community. People are going to check what somebody says. At the same time, though, we're open to everybody. I mean, I'd say I would still consider myself new. And after going to the blockchain event in Miami, most people I met, including those who have been in blockchain for 2-3+ years, they still identify as being a new person in blockchain. So yeah, please, everybody, ask away. All right, well, hey, fantastic, everybody. Well, this has been awesome. Not a full hour. Let me just check my chats and see if there's any questions or anything that I might have missed. Let's see. Yep. So Bull Sandy, when it comes down to the raising of the maximum cap of Kusama on the crowd loan, that does not impact the rewards. The rewards will stay the same. It'll still be 350. It'll still be 350 Pichu per Kusama. Yeah, so I do see something like that came up as well. When I talk about Pichu being on the crowd loan through an exchange, that does not mean that Pichu will be offered on the exchange. Exchange listings is a different process than the Kusama crowd loans. I understand the confusion, and it's something that we are looking for the best ways to get this message out there. So when it comes down to exchange listings, it's something where we see that it's going to be much more effective to venture for the exchange listings after launching the Parachain. It's resourcing. It's significantly cheaper to go then, which can open up I because of NDAs, I can't give a metaphor example to describe it, but a significant amount of resourcing that could be used for ecosystem development or being able to expand the community or some kind of initiative that would be able to help increase our chances of success. And compared to the initiatives we see, the exchange makes the most sense after Parachain listings, though it is something that is accurate. And this is where Sam El-Amin, he really knows what he's talking about when it comes to substrate. In order to participate in Kusama, it's got to have the systems to support Pichu. So to be able to list us on an exchange, we do have stronger negotiating power to discuss that their dev teams don't have to interact and create some kind of additional security measure and integrations and everything for some other replica ERC20 project or something. In this case here, that's part of what allows us to have these conversations. And while I can't discuss details, again, due to NDAs, what I can say is that even participating in the parachains has already sparked interest. So it's something where it's just a matter of conversations at this point. See another question. Is there a white paper on Pichu? This is a good question because it seems like a totally different project. There's not actually. It's actually still the Kylin white paper, though I'm very happy that you asked this question because I did want to talk a little bit more about our Kylin white paper, something that we'll probably have during our live next week that we'll likely go into more information about. One moment. So Pichu does not have a white paper. Reason is that it's just a test environment for the features and systems we want to build on Kylin. So it's something where the best place to look would be the Kylin white paper, though this is just a great time message, I guess, for the community. That white paper was written a year ago, and a lot has changed ever since. So it's something where it's reasonable that we're nearing the point that it's time to begin to update and scrutinize the white paper and find out which elements of it are still serving where we are as a community and as a network and where we're going, and to see also if there's anything that can be done to accelerate our path or increase our probability of success. So one of the things that I'm considering as a way to kill two birds with one stone is to have probably a segment, like a live situation like this, where I think we'll just literally read through the white paper together as a community, and it'll be a chance to answer questions, to go into more details. It's something where, to be frank, while yes, I would say I know quite a lot about Kylin and Pichu and Polkadot, I'm still learning stuff every single day. And I'm sure with the pressure of the eyeballs of the general internet at large, would help to bring up questions that I probably don't know the answers to, which means that we can collectively go and find them, and that can turn into documentation and training and systems that can help the ecosystem and community at large. So it is something where, when it comes to the white paper, absolutely, the white paper that's on our homepage, that's going to be the most accurate. And as we're nearing the end of the year, going into a New Year's, man, I can't believe that 2021 is already over. That's wild to think about. 2022 is around the corner. Anyways, with 2022 around the corner, existential shock aside, it's something where we think that by being able to look at the full picture of what is Kylin, what can it become, and what can we do together as a community to make that happen, that the more that we can collaborate and work together, the higher of a chance we have at succeeding overall. So if that sounds like a message you're down with, then please stay tuned. I'm going to take another look at the chats. Any last questions that might be out there, please feel free to drop them in. This is I'll take any question, because I'm still practicing to see how to handle different things. Thank you, Rai. I am feeling better. I'm feeling better. The cough is still there, but I'm thinking it'll just be a couple more days until I can be normal-ish. Let's see. Yeah, so Reen, we didn't cover it specifically in this live. The way that Kylin on EOC 20 and Pichu on Kusama will interoperate together is, well, one, for the purposes of the airdrop, we'll be making a DApp. The other part to it is, as of right now, Kylin and Pichu, they don't have direct interactions with each other besides the airdrop. But what we'll be doing is, as of now, the estimate is up to 90 days, we'll have a DApp that will be used to connect to EOC20 wallet and to Kusama wallet. So that way then we can see how many Kylin tokens are in there, and then drop the appropriate amount of Pichu from there. When do we see Kylin connects with gaming and computing? Oh, I'd love to try to pronounce your name, but I have Brzakbra. I don't know why I see abracadabra. Anyways, so the question is, when does Kylin connect with gaming and computing? So it's something where we're actually already pursuing this. There's quite a bit of utility available on both sides. On the computing side, we have a sister company, Ruby, that actually specializes with this. And there's so many different steps of not just being able to anonymize and obfuscate data, but to be able to access the data that's spread across the low end side of building a blockchain network. On top of that, it's something where with gaming, that's the big push right now. So where there's people talking about something, there's going to be queries, there's going to be searches. And right now inside of gaming, it's so resource intensive in terms of being able to get deep analysis of these metaverse worlds. I mean, one single item drop might have 10,000 different variations. And if you have 100 of those, each of which with their own microeconomies and their own internal trends, somebody somewhere is going to create a system to analyze that type of data. And Kylin is a place that, for whatever amazing, beautiful person feels so called to dedicate their time and attention to being able to have a deeper analysis of a gaming project, they would be able to actually connect that analysis tool to Kylin and monetize it so that anybody else who looks at it automatically gets them paid out a query. It's kind of like Uber for data or Airbnb for data applications. Got off topic again, but no, I'm more so going unnecessarily detailed. But with the gaming side of things, I'm really excited about that. Personally, it's one of my favorite use cases. I'm a total gaming nerd at heart, closet gamer. I haven't been able to play games in like years. Yeah, just life got busy the last decade, but it is something where I'm still a gamer at heart, and seeing what's happening in the industry makes me happy, especially when you see the tens of billions of dollars of value that it's created within a short period of time. So I think there'll be some fun monetization opportunities in those swimming pools. Yep, Stu, for Fireside Read Along with Andy, and I'm sure that'll be an adventure for everybody. Hey, Sam, good to see you here. All right, well, everybody, we are wrapping the end of this of this chat here. So, thank you so much for joining us today. Excuse me, of course, I'm losing my voice. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll have another AMA for sure on Monday, and we'll be continuing to answer questions about the crowd loan and about how we see everything working. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time, bye for now, y'all.